Indeed, it is only the knowledgeable among His servants who truly fear Allah. Middle Path Radio, your source of Islamic knowledge.
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen wa sallallahu wa sallam wa baraka ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallama tasliman kathira amma ba'd. Inshallah, today we're going to look at the Qur'an, and specifically Qur'an in Ramadan. But I don't really want to lecture for too long. Yeah? So I'm going to do a summary lecture, if you like, and I want more time for yourselves to ask the questions that concern you or things that relate to you, and let's see if we can help you with those issues, and maybe we can help each other in those issues. So let us begin first and foremost, as the brother reminded us, but let us take it from the reminder that Allah has sent for us to remain with us until Yawm al-Qiyamah. And then inshallah beyond that, Al-Qur'an, about which the Qari of Qur'an will be told, Iqra wartaqi, read and you will ascend. And nothing will stop you ascending in the levels of paradise except your recitation and where it stops. So let us turn back to the verses of Ramadan in Surah alBaqarah, where Allah says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان فمن شهد منكم الشهر فليصم ومن كان مريضا أو على سفر فعدة من أيام أخر يريد الله بكم اليسر ولا يريد بكم العسر ولتكملوا العدة ولتكبروا الله على ما هداكم ولعلكم تشكرون. In this verse that we probably heard last night in Taraweeh, and that we've heard in the run-up to Ramadan many times, you notice here that this is where Allah talks about Ramadan, and He precedes it by saying شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن. Ramadan is the month in which the Qur'an was revealed. Now, reflecting on this, I was thinking about a couple of things. Now, the revelation that is coming down to the final prophet, which is going to be the greatest revelation, happens in this month. An auspicious and momentous occasion. So momentous, so great, so miraculous, that the change in the heavens occurs when the Qur'an is revealed. That night, Laylatul Qadr, Inna anzalnahu fi laylatin mubarakah. Allah says that we revealed it in a blessed night. It was Laylatul Qadr that night. And the Qur'an is revealed by Allah and sent down to a place called Baytul Izzah in the lowest heaven. Okay, Baytul Izzah, a special honored place. All in one go, the whole Qur'an. And at that moment, the whole of the universe changes. How? The heavens are protected, such that the jinn who used to climb upon each other and try to catch news of the angels speaking about what was going to happen in the future, they found that wherever they used to go and try to gain some kind of secrets of what was about to happen, because the angels would be talking about the commands that they had received, that was blocked. Whoever goes there now finds Shihab al-Rasada. He finds a shooting meteor at him and he can't steal any news. Something's happened. Something serious has happened. Let me find out. They're all racing around. What has happened? And then they find the greatest man that will ever live, the Imam of all of the prophets, the one who would lead all of the nations into Jannah, reciting the greatest miracle that has ever come to mankind, that will ever descend upon mankind and jinn, Al-Qur'an. The Prophet ﷺ said in the hadith of Abu Hurairah in Bukhari and Muslim, مَا مِن نَبِيٍّ مِنَ الْأَنْبِيَاءِ, there has never been a prophet, إِلَّا وَقَدْ أُعْطِيَ مِنَ الْآيَاتِ, except that he was given miracles. Then he says, that these miracles were the reason people, ما مثله آمن عليه البشر, that people believed in him. Each prophet is given miracles, and that's why they believed. Then the Prophet ﷺ says, وَإِنَّمَا كَانَ الَّذِي أُوتِيتُهُ وَحْيًا أَوْحَى اللَّهُ إِلَيْهِ. And the only miracle that I have been given, listen to the words, the only miracle that I have been given is a revelation that Allah has revealed to me. So I hope that I will have the greatest following Yawm al-Qiyamah. The Prophet ﷺ, didn't he go with his companions and then suddenly they were thirsty and they had no drink, so water started coming from the fingers of the Prophet ﷺ and they drank plentifully? Didn't they run out of food and there was one pot and the Prophet ﷺ kept pulling food out for the Sahaba until the whole army was full and still there was food left? Didn't the Prophet ﷺ, with the permission of Allah, split the moon? Didn't the Prophet ﷺ speak to the palm tree and the camel and to the bird, and so many other things happened in the life of the Prophet ﷺ, which are all miracles? Yet the Prophet ﷺ says, the only miracle that I've been given is this wahi, al-Qur'an. You know why? Because the Qur'an obliterates every other miracle and makes it insignificant. Think of Musa alayhi salam. What was the miracle that Allah gave Musa alayhi salam which saved Bani Israel from Fir'aun and his army that were about to kill them? What was it? Any of the brothers tell me? What was it? What was the miracle? Yes? The staff, what did he do with the staff? He struck the sea and the water split. Yes. Now if you think about this, Musa alayhi salam was given this one miracle after many other miracles. Because Musa alayhi salam, how many miracles was Musa alayhi salam given? Sisters, how many miracles was Musa alayhi salam given? It's a number between 1 and 10. 9 is right. Yeah, Allah said, Tis'i ayat. He was given 9 miracles, 9 of them. For this one miracle, out of those 9, where he split the sea with his staff, or Allah split the sea for him by commanding him to touch the staff on the sea, and it turned into 2 mountains of water. Then the Prophet ﷺ many years later comes into Medina. He finds the Jews fasting. He finds the Jews fasting on a particular day, and when he asked them, why are you fasting on this day? They said to the Prophet ﷺ, هذا يوم, this is a particular day, أنجى الله موسى وقومه, Allah saved Musa and his people on this day, so we're fasting this day. Shukran lillah, I need to thank Allah. One miracle, one time event that is specific to that moment, and they're fasting in gratitude for that event. It's a momentous event, it's a miraculous event. One day of fasting. Then I was thinking about it. This Qur'an, Allah revealed it, and He declared the auspicious and great nature of this month, Ramadan, because not of the fasting, because the Qur'an was revealed in this month. شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن. That's how Allah begins it. The month of Ramadan in which the Qur'an was revealed. Then the laws of fasting. Then the laws of fasting come. Now can you imagine the blessing that this ummah has received, the greatest miracle that has ever been given to mankind, that will ever descend upon mankind? We have it in our hands. And then on top of that, the whole of our religion is about showing Allah gratitude, being thankful to Allah. And then Allah loves us so much that He said, you know what? I'm going to teach you how to be grateful and make it easy on you, and make fasting obligatory upon you. And it is a way of giving thanks to me for all of the blessings that I have given you. And the core and the root and the foundation of every single blessing is one thing: Al-Qur'an. Ar-Rahman, allama al-Qur'an. When Allah talks about His mercy, when He talks about how He deals with us, the first thing He tells us, He taught us Qur'an. He taught us Qur'an. Every good that you have in your life is because of Qur'an. Every evil that you have in your life is because you abandon Qur'an in some way. The life of the believer revolves around the Qur'an, and especially when it comes to Ramadan, because Allah marked it and made it auspicious and dedicated this month for Qur'an, so He could make our lives easy for us, not to make our lives difficult. So He could teach us how to purify ourselves and make us better people in the best and easiest and quickest way possible. Allah has done it all for us without any effort required from us. So this is Qur'an. But then when we look at the relationship that developed between the Prophet ﷺ and then the Ummah with the Qur'an, how was it? Look at the Prophet ﷺ in Ramadan. Abdullah ibn Abbas says the Prophet ﷺ was the most generous of people at all times. But then he was most generous in Ramadan. Then he tells us the reason why. Does anyone know why the Prophet ﷺ was the most generous he would be in Ramadan? Can anyone remind us? If no one answers, Abdul Wahid, the answer's for you, yeah? If no one answers. No one? Why was he most generous? Sisters, do you have an answer? Why was he most generous in Ramadan? And he was the most generous of people anyway. No one knows. Subhanallah, this is a hadith of Bukhari. You should all know it. Right. Abdul Wahid, what's the answer? La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Rayhan, what's the answer? See, this is the problem when I know you. Yeah?
Because the Qur'an was revealed in that month.
Not just because the Qur'an was revealed in that month.
Is it because the reward is multiplied?
Because the reward is multiplied. No, not even that. What did the Prophet ﷺ used to do at night?
Oh, Jibreel used to give the Qur'an to him.
Right. The Prophet ﷺ would يَتَدَارَسُ الْقُرْآنَ مَعَ Jibreel. He used to practice, rehearse, study every night of Ramadan the Qur'an with Jibreel alayhi salam. And that made him more generous than he would be. And he's the most generous anyway. But because he had a greater connection, can you imagine? And there's no one who has a greater connection with the Qur'an than the Prophet ﷺ. But then, because he gets to sit with the greatest messenger from the angels, Jibreel alayhi salam, studying Qur'an, revising Qur'an, and the scholars tell us, sometimes the Prophet ﷺ would be reading and Jibreel alayhi salam would be checking, would be correcting him, would be checking his recitation. Then sometimes Jibreel alayhi salam would be reading and the Prophet ﷺ would be listening. So this was mudarasa, this was actually studying the Qur'an with Jibreel alayhi salam, making sure that everything was precise and perfect. The Prophet ﷺ used to love those moments so much, and they increased the Prophet ﷺ in his connection with the Qur'an, in his connection with Allah, in every aspect of his being. That's the effect of the Qur'an on the one it was revealed to, Muhammad ﷺ. And the people noticed that, so they remarked this was going to be the case. And even when it comes to the Qur'an, the Prophet ﷺ in the final year, he sees Jibreel alayhi salam, this year we've gone over the Qur'an twice, not once, twice. It's not normal. We normally go over it once, we study it once from beginning to end. This year he's gone over it with me twice. He calls his daughter Fatima radiallahu ta'ala anha when she comes to visit him, and she had a very similar walk to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and she was the child that he had that was most like him radiallahu ta'ala anha. He calls her close and he whispers to her, and the first time he whispers she starts to cry, and then he calls her again, and then he whispers a second time, and then she starts to laugh. So the wives of the Prophet ﷺ asked her, why did you start crying in the first time and laughing in the second time. And she says, I'm not going to divulge, I'm not going to spread the secret of the Prophet ﷺ. And then later when the Prophet ﷺ has passed away, they ask her again. So then she says, the first time he said to me, Jibreel has rehearsed the Qur'an with me twice this year, and I don't think that's for any other reason except this will be my final year on this earth. And then the second time he called me over, because the first time I started crying because now my father's going to die. And this is the most beloved of people to the whole ummah. His death is going to be a tragedy for the whole ummah, for his time and those who come after him. So how will it be to his own flesh and blood, the most like him, Fatima radiallahu ta'ala anha? Then he consoles her and he says, and he only speaks the truth. He says in the second time, which makes her laugh, and you are going to be the leaders, or you are going to be the leader of the women of paradise except for Maryam alayhi salam. And you're going to be the first of my family who comes and joins me in paradise after my death. So how was the relationship with the Sahaba, the students of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? In this month, they used to focus on the Qur'an. They used to love to stand behind the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam reciting the long prayers. They wouldn't get tired. They would love it. They would have nothing better in their lives. They would dedicate it to reciting the Qur'an from memory, from pages, from whatever they had of the Qur'an. Then our scholars took that on board, and they used to finish the Qur'an more so in Ramadan than in any other month. And they would abandon all other reading of articles and books and giving lectures and everything else. Their focus would be only Qur'an, nothing else. The inspiration for Qur'an comes directly from what Allah intended. It was revealed on a blessed night, Laylatul Qadr. In fact, some of the ahadith talk about every single book that Allah revealed being revealed in Ramadan. But Allah declared it special, Ramadan being special because the final revelation, the final guide for your whole life until you meet Allah, Al-Qur'an was revealed in this month. Allah said, celebrate my bounties upon you, because they all stem from Qur'an, by fasting this month of Ramadan, giving up what you love and dedicating it to me. And there's no better way to dedicate your life to Allah than to dedicate it to His words. There's no better way to spend your life than by dedicating it to Allah's words. Because the Prophet ﷺ told us, because of this book, يَرْفَعُ يعني Allah will raise bihi aqwaman. He will raise the status of people because of this book. And because of this book, He will disgrace and humiliate others. Look throughout our history. When our ummah is closely connected to the Qur'an, they read it, they ponder it, they understand it, they act according to it. We have been the superpower of the world. We have been the superpower of the world. But when we abandon the Qur'an and what it was sent for, as Allah says, الَّذِينَ آتَيْنَهُمُ الْكِتَابَ يَتْلُونَهُ حَقَّ تِلَاوَتِهِ. Those who we gave the book to, they recite it a true recital, meaning they implement it, they act according to it. Everything that it says, they do as they're told in it. They never do anything they were told not to do. They understand it. They recite it the way it was revealed. They dedicate themselves to it. If you want success in anything in your life, give your focus, give your time to Qur'an. Allah will bless you in whatever else you want to do. He will guide you. He will protect you. And then when you come to meet Him, do you think Allah will throw a container that contains and holds His words? Do you think He will throw such a container into the hellfire? It's unthinkable. It's unimaginable. It's not going to happen. In fact, it's even better than that. Because the Prophet ﷺ says, Inna lillahi ahlina fil ard. Allah has a family on this earth. You don't throw your family into the hellfire. You don't cause pain and suffering to your family. The Prophet ﷺ was asked, who are the family of Allah on this earth? The Prophet ﷺ replied, Ahlul Qur'an hum ahlullahi wa khasatuh. The people of Qur'an, reading, understanding, acting, pondering. The people of Qur'an, those people are the family of Allah and they are His special slaves. May Allah give us tawfiq, the ability, the love, the determination to make ourselves people of Qur'an. May Allah forgive us our shortcomings for neglecting this Qur'an and not acting upon it the way we should. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا أما بعد. طيب, that was my introduction to Qur'an. Nothing more. Now, what I want to do is open the floor. Any questions that you have concerning your connection to Qur'an, how you want to improve your Qur'an, we'll leave it to you to ask. And then we'll deal with each question as they come. طيب, since there's less sisters here than brothers, I'll let you ask first. Any questions? If not, I might start asking questions. That normally inspires people. And because there's few sisters, I'm spoiled for choice with the brothers, so obviously I'll ask questions to the brothers first. Right, let me start with someone. How much Qur'an should you read a day? How much Qur'an should you read a day?
1 juz.
Who said 1 juz? Okay, why 1 juz?
It's just a guess. So you can finish it.
So at least you finish it in 1 month, right? So at least you can read 1 juz, especially in Ramadan. And all that time you spent eating outside of Ramadan, give it up to reciting Qur'an, you easily do a juz, yeah? Yeah, half hour each meal, minimum. Yeah, and if you're out with friends, how long does it take you? At least an hour, hour and a half, yeah? 1 meal. So if you dedicated that, the time you would be eating to Qur'an, you'll easily finish 1 juz in a day. Right, but is that enough? Is it enough? Brothers, what do you think? Is it enough? Especially it's Ramadan, it's a special time. Okay, another question. There's another narration that talks about how many days, or the least amount of days you should finish the Qur'an in. How many is that? How many is the least amount of days you should finish the Qur'an in? On a normal basis. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 week. The brother here. Yeah, the brother glasses, yeah.
7 days.
7 days, no.
1 month.
No, the least, you can read it. If you read it in this amount of days, whatever it is, you shouldn't go less than that.
3 days.
Right, 3 days. Right, 3 days. I gave you too much of a clue when I put my fingers like that, didn't I? Yeah? 3 days. But that's on a normal basis. This is a special time. Many of our scholars like Ibn Rajab and others, and the likes of Imam Abu Hanifa and Imam Shafi'i and others, they would not stick to this rule in Ramadan. People like Shafi'i and Abu Hanifa, etc., and some of our other scholars, they used to complete the Qur'an once in the day and once at night. Every night of Ramadan. Okay? So there is no limit. You know why? Because the companion, the close companion of the Prophet ﷺ, Uthman ibn Affan, the third leader of the Muslims. Third leader of the Muslims. So after the death of the Prophet ﷺ, there was Abu Bakr, then Umar, then Uthman. He was actually killed while he was doing what? He was murdered, murdered while he was doing what?
Praying.
Not praying, what was he doing? Reading Qur'an. His blood fell on the mushaf that he was reading. When he was killed, he was murdered. He actually said, لو طهرت قلوبكم ما شبعتم من كلام ربكم. If your hearts had been purified, they were pure, you would never have enough of the words of Allah. You would never have enough. You would never be able to recite enough. You would never feel that it's enough. But each of us, has to go the extra mile in Ramadan. Whatever you were doing previously, It has to be much, much better in Ramadan. Otherwise you're not appreciating the gift that Allah has given you. It's not good enough. You have to do more. You have to do more when it comes to your reciting it from looking. You have to do more when it comes to your memorization of it. You have to do more when it comes to your understanding it and contemplating it and implementing it. And alhamdulillah, you see, in Ramadan, Allah makes it easy for you. And it was difficult for you to find time outside of Ramadan to read the Qur'an. But you know, because we're not eating, our focus has changed. And it looks like, yani, when you look at Ramadan, it looks like that's exactly what Allah wanted. He took away our food and drink, which were bounties that we used to indulge in and enjoy, so that we could focus on the main bounty that gives all of our other blessings, Qur'an. So not having food and water during the day actually focuses us on Qur'an. Every 3 minutes, pick up your Qur'an, whether in your phone, whether as your mushaf, in your pocket, whatever, read. طيب. That was reading of Qur'an. Now, are there any questions before I give you another question? Any questions? No? Abdul Wahid, any questions? Right. When it comes to, shall I read, just read the Qur'an, recite it, or read the translation and try to read a tafsir in English? What should we give more time to in Ramadan? Or how should we balance the two? Reading Qur'an, just reading it, and actually trying to understand what you're reading. I'm going to pick on someone. Let's have the brother who's leaning on the pillar there. I like to pick on people who are leaning and comfortable.
Brother, can I just answer something? You know they say...
Just, oh, sister, 1 second. Let me just ask this brother and then I'll come to you, inshallah. Yep. Repeat the question. Are you sleeping as well? La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Okay, I'll be generous because this is a month of generosity. And the question was, how do we balance between reading the Qur'an, yeah, just reading it, and then reading an English translation or a tafsir and trying to understand it?
When you've read your Quran, after you finish reading, you should read the translation after that.
Okay, ideal would be everything that you read the translation for. Yeah? That would be ideal if you could manage both at the same time. Okay, that's one thing that is said. What about just reading much more than you actually read the meaning of? Hands up if you think this is a good idea. Reading more and read some translation, but not as much. Okay, some people think that's a good idea. Right, hands up if you think read the translation or the meaning more than you read the actual Qur'an. Okay, you guys are going against the spirit of Ramadan. Yeah? Qur'an is the Arabic that you need to read. It is a purification in itself, even if you don't understand it. Even if you don't understand it. But the more you understand and the more you implement, the better. But the spirit of Ramadan is to go through the Qur'an from beginning to end, over and over again as much as you can. Understand it as much as you can. But the purification that will occur because of your reading is unmatched. Is unmatched. When we look at the dua of Ibrahim alayhi salam and how Allah answered it. Ibrahim alayhi salam said, رَبَّنَا وَبَعْثْ فِيهِمْ رَسُولًا مِّنْهُمْ يَتْلُو عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتِكَ وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةَ وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ الْعَزِيزُ الْحَكِيمُ. Ibrahim alayhi salam said, oh Allah, send them a messenger who's going to recite to them your verses. And he's going to teach them your book and your wisdom. And he's going to purify them. Allah answered it in the other way around. He said, we sent to them a messenger from their own selves. يَتْلُو عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتِنَا. Yani he's going to recite upon them our verses. Then he's yuzakkihim. He's going to purify them with the verses. There's no way to purify you better than Qur'an. When it does that, any little you read about how to implement it will have a much greater effect on you as a person, a much greater effect on the whole of society. So don't deprive yourself, but definitely take some of the meaning, at least read some meanings of some of the verses that you have actually read from the Qur'an itself. طيب. Sister, you wanted to ask a question? Alhamdulillah, I answered the question. You see? We can preempt some questions by answering them. Right. Any other questions? Any brothers have questions? You guys are really dull. Is the fasting getting to you already? It's only the second day.
Can I answer the question?
Right. Yes, go ahead, sister.
Yesterday I asked my son, he's actually on the other side.
Yep.
I asked him to pray the Hajj.
Yep.
He said to me, Tarawih is like the Hajj. Is that true?
Right. Taraweeh and Tahajjud. Are they the same? Are they different? They're actually the same. Taraweeh is just a particular form in having the Qiyamul Layl straight after your Isha Salah in congregation in the masjid, usually in 20 rakah. Yeah? And then you have the witr straight after it. So when it's done in this format, in congregation in the masjid straight after Isha like this, we call it Taraweeh. And if it's done in a different format where there's a delay later on, praying at home, etc., it's called Qiyamul Layl. Or if it doesn't have some of these components to it, like straight after Isha, with the witr as well, in congregation with the 20 rakah, then sometimes it's called Qiyamul Layl. So if there's something different about it than this format, it's called Qiyamul Layl. But are they the same thing? Yes. They are the night prayer. Both of them are the night prayer. But in Ramadan, to facilitate it for everybody, we have the Taraweeh. Whereas Qiyamul Layl, which is quite interesting actually, the famous narration, people like to argue about it, about how many rakahs of Taraweeh there should be, 8, 20, whatever. You find Umar ibn al-Khattab, he puts the people praying behind one Imam, Ubay ibn Ka'b, radiallahu ta'ala anhu, and he's at the back talking to another companion. He's not actually praying with them. Okay, he's not praying with them, he's talking with another companion and talking how good this system of facilitating the Taraweeh is for everybody else. Do you know why he was talking? Because praying later at night, closer to Fajr, is more rewarding than praying early. But to make life easy upon people, so they can hear the whole Qur'an and pray with a section which will lead them to finishing the whole Qur'an, is easier to be done straight after Isha. It's done like that, to make things easy on everyone. But anyone else who wants to pray more, you're free to pray as much as you want in the nights of Ramadan, especially in the nights of Ramadan. And a tip from me, if you pray 2 rakah by yourself, alone, in seclusion, when no one can hear you, no one can see you, the only one who knows about you is Allah, the beauty of that prayer, logically, that prayer should be much better and much more sincere. Practically, when you do it, a bliss will descend upon you, especially in the nights of Ramadan, that will be unmatched. You will never be able to gain that, even if you did the same thing outside of Ramadan. Because Allah sends down barakat and blessings in the nights of Ramadan. They are the greatest nights of the whole year, and you can't match them no matter what you do. So don't deprive yourself. Even if you prayed your witr with the Imam, which you should do. Because the Prophet ﷺ told us, "Man qama ma'al imam," whoever stands with the Imam, hatta yansarif, until the Imam leaves, he prays everything that the Imam prays, kutiba lahu qiyamu laylah, that person will have written for him that he prayed the whole night. So even if you prayed witr, there's reports that the Prophet ﷺ prayed 2 rakah after he had prayed the witr. So you could still pray 2 rakah. And as long as it's before Fajr, pray those 2 rakah by yourself where no one knows that you're praying except you. More sincere, more chance of better khushu', more concentration, and add to it, choose verses that you know really well and that you love. Just to give yourself that sincerity and that real khushu' and deep feeling for the verses as you're reciting. And then beg Allah for everything that you need in your sujood. beg him. As you see a poor person who's in dire need, beg him like that. That is the best thing for you to do. طيب. Any questions? The brothers, couple of brothers put their hands up. Yep, this brother.
Just one question. Which format would be best to read the Qur'an, as in a hard copy or a digital format?
This is a good one. Yeah. One of the other mashayikh, we had a bit of a debate about this not too long ago actually. We were discussing it. And to say this is better and that is better, there's no clear proof, is there? Okay, there's no clear proof. The aim is, the question was, which is better to read the Qur'an, a hard copy or a digital format, like on your phone or your tablet or whatever, or a written physical copy of the Qur'an, the mushaf that we have in the masajid and we have at home, etc. Which is better? Okay, traditionally they only had the paper copy, yeah? And before that they didn't have any paper copies, and it was done from their heart. Yeah, from their heart they were reading what they had memorized. So which is easier to do? Reading from your memory or reading from the hard copy? Which is easier? Hard copy. You don't have to focus on recalling what's there. You can focus on the meanings. Okay, you can focus on reciting the rules, you can focus on the meaning, contemplation, everything else. Okay, when you're trying to focus on what's coming next, because most of us, we don't memorize Qur'an that well that we don't even have to think about it. It's like the back of our hands, like we read Surah al-Fatiha. So it'd be more difficult. But as for which is better, digital copy and hard copy, there's no way we can actually say which is better definitively. Okay, you want to be traditional about it, hold a mushaf. The thing you should do, however, is if I now switch my phone and I have Qur'an here, I should treat it like Qur'an. Okay? The way I hold it, where I place it, touching the screen, touching the Qur'an, I should make sure I have wudu. All of these things, if I'm going to open it up on the phone or the tablet, I should treat it as I would a physical copy of the Qur'an. Meaning not putting it on the floor, not treating it disrespectfully or anything else like that. Otherwise, if we treat it like this and we recite it, we're reciting the words of Allah and we're achieving the goal of reciting the words of Allah. If, however, you have more khushu or more humility, more concentration when you're reading it from a physical copy than from a digital copy, then you would do that. But in and of itself, Allah knows best. Okay, in and of itself, there's nothing that I have found or can find that would say this is better than that, digital or hard copy. طيب. There was another brother who put his hand up to ask a question over there somewhere. I must have answered that as well. طيب. Yes.
For those of us that have got exam revision and everything coming up, what would you advise in terms of balancing revision and everything?
Good question. Right. Those who have exams, and how do they balance doing their revision and preparation and recitation of Qur'an? Number one, you should have done your preparation before, so you had this time free, but that's gone now. Okay, that would be for next year. So you make appropriate planning that you've done your preparation, your main preparation for exams before Ramadan starts, and then it's just going over things and refreshing your mind. If you can't do that, then give enough time to focus on the exam and go over the subject matter. But at the same time, your minimum should be making sure that you recite a juz a day. That should be minimum. There should not be anything that you do that takes you away from the juz, one whole chapter, such that by the end of Ramadan you will have finished the Qur'an at least once. If, however, you're not revising right now at this moment, you could just sit down and sleep, you could just rest, you could go and talk to a friend, you do this, that and the other. At those times, when you're not going to be revising, make sure you give your priority to Qur'an. Okay? So balance it like that. Definitely there has to be a juz a day. As for Other pastimes, relaxed times, make your relaxing reciting Qur'an. Change it like that, and then you'll have ample time. If you think about it, you're not going to do, if you were the most dedicated student in the world, you're not going to do more than 8 hours of revision in a day. It's not going to happen. Even that is pushing it, yeah? Even that is pushing it. 5 hours tops. Yeah? So take Ramadan, how many hours are you going to sleep in Ramadan? How many hours? Don't say the whole day, yeah? Don't say the whole day. Yeah? You're going to sleep, at night time you're going to sleep a few hours, maybe 4 hours, 5 hours maybe max. And then maybe you're going to have an hour's nap somewhere during the day. So you got, say 6, 7, let's say 8 hours that you were sleeping. Yeah, max. 5 hours that you have to study. How many hours left? Any math students? It's not very hard. 8 plus 5 equals how much? 13. How many hours in a day? 24. Yeah, so how many hours left? Huh? 11. 11 hours. 11 hours. You can do everything and anything. 11 hours you've got of the day. Okay? So it's quite easy to balance if you think about it like that. طيب, anything else? Yes.
After praying the witr in the masjid, if you want to pray more at home, do you have to do an extra rak'ah after the witr?
Right, if you want to pray more, the brother's asking, if you want to pray more at home after you've prayed in the masjid and you finish the tarawih, you go home and you want to pray more. How can you do it? If you just wanted to pray 2 rak'ah more, then we said you could pray the witr exactly the same, finish, pray your 2 rak'ah when you go home, no problem. If you wanted to pray more than 2 rak'ah, then when the imam finishes, he says alSalaam alaikum from the witr, stand up, pray an extra rak'ah to make it an even number, and then finish off by yourself, and then leave, and then when you go home you can pray as many as you want and finish off with your witr. Yeah? Finish off with your witr by yourself when you go home, and that way you can pray as much as you want at home. طيب, brother there.
To ask a question, there was someone who was fasting but doesn't pray while fasting, so does that work? Does that work like that?
Right, he has 2 obligations. A person who is fasting but not praying, he has 2 obligations upon him. He has the obligation of praying 5 times a day, and he has the obligation of fasting the month of Ramadan. So he has to do both things. If he drops any of them, he's under the threat of Allah's punishment. So he's in a terrible situation. And the prayer is a greater obligation than the siyam, but it doesn't drop any of them. It's not either or. He has to do both. Okay, none of us are exempt. We have to do both. So that person needs to be reminded, look, okay, akhi, you can give up your food and drink. Give up 5 minutes or 10 minutes to pray. And it's much easier. Yeah. What's easier? Praying 5 times a day, or going for all of these hours without food and drink? Clearly, praying 5-10 minutes at 5 times during the day is much easier. So you need to reason with this person and encourage them to be praying as well. And because this is a time when the shayateen are locked up and it's a blessed time, he's probably more inclined to listen to you. Okay, so approach him in a nice way. Don't ridicule him. You don't use the British sense of humor of mocking him and putting him down. Yeah, don't use that. Use nice words, wisdom, and just show him how easy it is. And then take him to the salah with you. If you are able to do that, take him to the salah with you. Okay? طيب. Yes.
Individuals who rush for Taraweeh but miss the Jamaa for Isha, should they pray individually or join it with the Taraweeh?
If they turn up, you're talking about one person turns up or a whole Jama'ah turns up?
One person.
If one person turns up, then he'll join with the Jama'ah, because if you imagine, the Muslims are all praying, and then this one on the corner there doing something by himself, and they're all doing the same action at the same time, and then this one weird guy over there, completely different. And as Islam, when you look at Islam, the whole of Islam, anything in Islam, do we find anything in Islam like that? No. Allah tells us to be with the Jama'ah, be together, be unified. especially when it comes to our issues of obligatory prayers, obligatory fasting, everything else. It's not conceivable that that would be the case. So let him join the Jamaa, have his intention that he's praying Isha, and he follows the Imam in what they're praying, and then he gets up and completes his 2 rak'ah if he caught the beginning of that set of 2, and then finishes off his, and then he joins back again. Yeah, so he does it like that, inshallah ta'ala. Right, any other questions? طيب, Jazakumullah khairah. I hope you found some benefit and some words. Main focus: the Qur'an is the greatest miracle that has ever and will ever come down to mankind. Because of its majesty, Allah gave us this month to give thanks to Him for every blessing that He has given us, so that we can increase in our love for Him, in everything that will benefit us. We have it in front of us on a plate. Don't be the one who gets the gift of Allah and says, you know what, I don't want it. Be the one who says, oh Allah, I thank you for your gift, and I want more of your gifts, so I'm going to do what you asked of me and even more. Jazakumullah khairah. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.
Indeed, it is only the knowledgeable among His servants who truly fear Allah. Middle Path Radio, your source of Islamic knowledge.